Microsoft is firing back at Sony over baseless accusations, and things are really starting to heat up. Things are getting hotter than ever. I tell you what, this is like Jerry Springer stuff. Maybe some of you are old enough to remember that old Jerry Springer show, or some of those shows like that, when people would come out on the street, off the street, and get in arguments and fight on stage. To me, if Jerry Springer had Sony and Microsoft on stage, boy, there would be a huge brawl. They'd have to get that Steve guy to break it up. I'm telling you, this stuff is getting crazy. I can't imagine that the relationship between Activision, Microsoft, and Sony will ever go back to what it was pre this debacle, right? Like, Sony should have just kept their mouth shut and know their role, which is to be inferior to Xbox 24/7. 365 days a year. And that's just a fact. I don't care what anybody has to say about sales or any of that nonsense. When it comes to video games, offering people deals, the hardware, that's Xbox's forte. They're doing a phenomenal job outshining everything that Sony's doing, and it's really starting to show. And this announcement right here, Sony is really getting kind of their comeuppance, in my opinion, and Microsoft is very smart to kind of go on the offensive, because you cannot, absolutely, and I repeat, cannot go out there and just let Sony get away with whatever the hell they want. You cannot do that. So yeah, we're starting to see some different situations and different kind of things going on right now. Love to see this. Love to see a little bit of fight in the belly coming from Microsoft. You can't just roll over and die. You've got to go out of there and make sure that you're ready to fight for your right to play video games. And Microsoft has a right to compete. They need to be able to go out and compete. I love to see this, and I want to get into this announcement because it's absolutely phenomenal. So let's go ahead and get into it. What's up, everybody? I am Crap Gamer. Crap Gamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. Please slap that like button, slap the hell out of it, make it your biatch. And while you're at it, try to get that 100 likes or whatever. Would mean a great deal to me if that could happen. I know it's a small goal, but it's a goal nonetheless that I am desperately trying to achieve. I've made a few changes around here. Hopefully y'all see that and kind of respond to that. Would be pretty cool if that would be the case. Now, thank you guys again for rocking out with me. Now, Microsoft, and I know, trust me, I am well aware and tired of hearing about this whole deal with Microsoft and Activision, but when they fire back at Sony like this, you gotta love it, right? You gotta love taking down the leaders in all this stuff. So Microsoft says they would make full use of PlayStation console features when releasing Call of Duty games for Sony systems should its proposed acquisitions of Blizzard go through. Now, before I get into this article a little bit, I'm going to say, why on earth wouldn't they? I mean, look, PlayStation got, I believe, Skyrim VR, and that was after Bethesda was bought. They also got Minecraft VR well after Mojang was bought out by Microsoft. So they have no problem taking advantage of what Sony has to offer. I thought it was nonsense that they would suggest otherwise, and it is nice to see that Microsoft is going to do what they can do. So anyway, in its latest response to the Competition and Markets Authority, Microsoft claims that not only will it guarantee full-feature parity on PlayStation, but that the versions of Sony systems may have more features than on Xbox. The most notable example of this is the use of haptic feedback on the PlayStation 5's DualSense controller, something not offered with Xbox Series X and S. Microsoft's response implies that any future Call of Duty games released on PlayStation consoles would still include that feature, even if it made the PlayStation version superior. And this is what they say, and I quote, "The parties note in particular there is no basis in the provisional findings for what would essentially amount to beyond parity obligation, requiring Microsoft to develop a PlayStation version of Call of Duty, which has more features than the Xbox version, according to the company." It goes on to explain that the concern being raised by Sony is that a PlayStation version of Call of Duty published by Microsoft could see the Xbox company include fewer features or degrading the graphical quality, but claims that in reality it is in Microsoft's best interest to release the best version of the game it can so more people will buy it. As Microsoft will be shopping and shipping Call of Duty on PlayStation in compliance with its Remedy commitments, Microsoft will have every incentive to develop games with optimized support for PlayStation 5 features, such as haptics and future consoles, in order to maximize sales on the platform. Sony had claimed earlier this month baselessly that Microsoft could release degraded or even buggy versions of Call of Duty games on PlayStation should it acquire Activision Blizzard, which is complete and utter nonsense and asinine to even suggest that. Swiftly detecting any diversions from and ensuring compliance with a commitment to the technical or graphical qualities would be challenging. Sony stated, for example, Microsoft might release a PlayStation version of Call of Duty where bugs and errors emerge only on the game's final level or after later updates. Wow, the level of absurdity and the level of petty that they think Microsoft are, just insane. Even if such degradation could be swiftly detected, any remedy would likely come too late, by which time the gaming community would have lost confidence in PlayStation as the go-to venue for Call of Duty. Now, Microsoft has repeatedly claimed that it offered Sony a 10-year legally enforceable contract to make each new Call of Duty game available on PlayStation the same day it comes to Xbox, and with full content and feature parity, which is something that Sony doesn't afford Microsoft right now, paying a shit ton of money to make sure that Microsoft doesn't get a lot of the content that is offered on PlayStation. The company also said it is prepared to commit appointing a third-party accessor to ensure it does not drift from its commitments over this period. In its latest response to the CMAs, Microsoft also said 10 years is long enough for Sony to develop rival offerings to the Call of Duty franchise should Xbox acquire Activision Shooter Series, which Sony is already doing that. The entire reason that they're trying to get a hold of this, obviously, it doesn't make sense to put, Sony out of the Call of Duty business, right? You're making all this money. It honestly just would not make sense to do that. So why would they do it? And I don't feel like they would. And it wouldn't make any damn sense to do that. To be honest with you, it's just absolutely insane and crazy to think otherwise. So I do hope that they kind of heed what Microsoft is saying here. Microsoft is in the driver's seat as far as I'm concerned. They're the ones that are doing the right things, trying to get gamers games. And Sony, on the other hand, I feel like are trying to stump this and drag this along for their own selfish reasons. And maybe people might go, well, it's their business, they should, but they're way overreaching the bounds of which a business has any right to kind of go out there and say anything. So I don't know. I don't like Sony's tactics here. I think it's ridiculous. I can't wait to see how this has ended in court. I can't wait till this is all over. I'm excited for that day. I'm sure a lot of you are as well. I'm going to link this in the description. All you fine people can check that out and let me know what you think. Rack them up, fact them up, Crap Gamer them up. Have a fantastic day. Crap Gamer out.